Hollywood has a strange way of making people feel immortal. We watch these stars grow up on our television screens, fall in love on movie sets, win awards, become household names, and appear in film after film. For decades, their faces seemed impossible to escape, but behind those famous photographs were real people who grew older just like everyone else. Some continued working almost until the end, some quietly disappeared from the spotlight, and some passed away so long ago that an entire generation knows them only from old movies. Today, we're looking back at 25 iconic Hollywood actors who have passed away, comparing the faces audiences remember from their younger years with how they looked later in life. Some transformations are subtle, some are almost unbelievable, and a few of these stars look so different in their later years that you might not recognize them at first. These aren't just photographs, they're snapshots of Hollywood history. Let's begin. Number 25. Burt Reynolds. In the 1970s and 1980s, Burt Reynolds was one of Hollywood's biggest leading men. His dark hair, famous mustache, confident smile, and unmistakable charm made him a superstar. Films like Smokey and the Bandit, Deliverance, and The Cannonball Run turned Reynolds into one of the most recognizable actors of his generation. Later in life, the young heartthrob looked considerably older, but he continued acting and making public appearances. Reynolds passed away in 2018 at the age of 82. Number 24. Carrie Fisher. Carrie Fisher became a global icon as Princess Leia in Star Wars. Her distinctive hairstyle, determined expression, and unforgettable performance made Leia one of cinema's most recognizable characters. But Fisher's career went far beyond Star Wars. She was also a successful writer, screenwriter, and actress. In her later years, she returned to the role that made her famous while continuing to work on other projects. Fisher passed away in 2016 at just 60 years old. Number 23. Robin Williams. Robin Williams seemed capable of becoming an entirely different person whenever the camera started rolling. His wild energy made him a television sensation, while films like Good Morning Vietnam, Dead Poets Society, Mrs. Doubtfire, and Good Will Hunting revealed his extraordinary range. As he grew older, the youthful comedian became a more distinguished-looking Hollywood veteran, but that expressive face never became difficult to recognize. Williams passed away in 2014 at the age of 63. Number 22. James Dean. James Dean's career lasted only a few years, but his image became immortal. With his swept-back hair, rebellious expression, and effortless cool, Dean became the symbol of youthful rebellion through films like Rebel Without a Cause and East of Eden. Unlike most stars on this list, audiences never got to see Dean grow old. He died in a car accident in 1955 at only 24 years old. Yet more than 7 decades later, his face remains one of the most recognizable images of classic Hollywood. Number 21. Marilyn Monroe. Marilyn Monroe wasn't simply a movie star. She became a cultural icon. Her blonde hair, glamorous appearance, and unmistakable screen presence made her one of the most photographed women of the 20th century. Films like Some Like It Hot, The 7-Year Itch, and Gentlemen Prefer Blondes established her as one of Hollywood's biggest stars. Her later years were marked by intense public scrutiny, and her life ended tragically in 1962. Number 20. Paul Newman. Paul Newman combined movie star looks with one of the most respected acting careers in Hollywood. His blue eyes became almost as famous as his performances. From Cool Hand Luke to Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid and The Sting, Newman became one of the defining leading men of his generation. Later photographs show a much older Newman with silver hair and a more weathered face. But somehow, those famous blue eyes remained exactly the same. He passed away in 2008 at the age of 83. Number 19. Audrey Hepburn. Audrey Hepburn represented elegance like few other actresses ever could. Her appearance in Breakfast at Tiffany's became one of the defining images of classic Hollywood. She also starred in Roman Holiday, Sabrina, and My Fair Lady. As she grew older, Hepburn stepped increasingly away from acting and became heavily involved in humanitarian work. The glamorous young actress eventually became a graceful, mature woman, but the elegance that defined her never disappeared. Number 18. Gregory Peck. Gregory Peck was the definition of a classic Hollywood leading man. Tall, serious, and effortlessly distinguished, he became famous through films such as Roman Holiday, The Guns of Navarone, and To Kill a Mockingbird. His portrayal of Atticus Finch became one of the most respected performances in American cinema. Decades later, Peck's hair had turned completely white and his face had naturally aged. Yet that unmistakable presence was still there. He passed away in 2003 at 87. Number 17. James Stewart. James Stewart had one of the most recognizable voices in Hollywood. His calm manner and slightly awkward charm made him perfect for characters who felt genuinely human. He starred in classics including Mr. Smith Goes to Washington, Rear Window, and It's a Wonderful Life. As the decades passed, his dark hair became silver and his face changed dramatically, but the familiar voice and gentle personality remained. Stewart passed away in 1997 at 89. Number 16. Sidney Poitier. Sidney Poitier broke barriers while becoming one of Hollywood's most respected actors. Films like In the Heat of the Night, Guess Who's Coming to Dinner, and Lilies of the Field established him as a major star. He also became the first black man to win the Academy Award for Best Actor. In his later years, Poitier's silver hair and older features gave him a completely different. Poitier passed away in 2022 at 94. Number 15. Sean Connery. Before anyone else could truly claim the role, Sean Connery became James Bond. His dark hair, sharp suits, confident expression, and unmistakable Scottish accent created one of cinema's most famous versions of 007. But Connery eventually moved far beyond Bond, appearing in The Untouchables, Indiana Jones and The Last Crusade, and The Hunt for Red October. Connery passed away in 2020 at 90. Number 14. Kirk Douglas. Kirk Douglas was one of Hollywood's great survivors. With his powerful jawline, intense expression, and commanding presence, he became a major star during Hollywood's golden era. He appeared in classics including Spartacus, Paths of Glory, and The Vikings. Douglas continued making public appearances well into his later decades. Douglas passed away in 2020 at the remarkable age of 103. Number 13. Betty White. Betty White's career lasted for more than 7 decades. She became a television icon through The Golden Girls, but her career had already been thriving for decades before that. Even in her 90s, White continued appearing on television and remained a familiar face to multiple generations. She passed away in 2021, just weeks before her 100th birthday. Number 12. Gene Kelly. Gene Kelly changed the way Hollywood approached dance. With his athletic movements, confident smile, and unmistakable screen presence, he became one of the defining stars of the musical era. Singin' in the Rain remains one of the most celebrated musicals ever made. Later photographs show a very different Gene Kelly, with silver hair and the naturally aged face of an older man. But the performer behind that famous smile was still recognizable. Kelly passed away in 1996 at 83. Number 11. Christopher Reeve. Christopher Reeve became Superman for an entire generation. His athletic build, dark hair, and confident smile made him the perfect choice to play the Man of Steel. But after a devastating horse riding accident left Reeve paralyzed, his life took a completely different direction. He became an advocate for spinal cord research and an inspiration to millions. His later photographs look dramatically different from his Superman years, but they also show a determination that became part of his legacy. Reeve passed away in 2004 at just 52. Number 10. Patrick Swayze. Patrick Swayze became one of the biggest stars of the 1980s and early 1990s. His dark hair, athletic build, and intense screen presence made him unforgettable in Dirty Dancing, Roadhouse, and Ghost. Fans remembered him as Johnny Castle, the charismatic dancer who seemed almost impossible to keep off the screen. Later, illness dramatically changed his appearance. He passed away in 2009 at 57. Number 9. Farrah Fawcett. Farrah Fawcett became one of the most recognizable faces of the 1970s. Her golden hair, famous smile, and iconic Charlie's Angels poster turned her into a pop culture phenomenon. Her hairstyle became so influential that women around the world tried to recreate it. Years later, photographs showed a very different Fawcett from the glamorous young star who had dominated magazine covers. She passed away in 2009 at 62. Number 8. Chadwick Boseman. Chadwick Boseman's Hollywood career was relatively short, but his impact was enormous. He became a global superstar as T'Challa in Black Panther and appeared to be at the beginning of an extraordinary career. Behind the scenes, however, Boseman was privately battling cancer. He continued working through treatment, appearing in major films while keeping his illness largely private. His later photographs showed a dramatic physical change that fans had never expected to see. Boseman passed away in 2020 at only 43. Number 7. Heath Ledger. Heath Ledger had already established himself as a talented young actor before delivering the performance that would define his legacy. As the Joker in The Dark Knight, Ledger completely transformed his appearance, voice, and mannerisms. The role became legendary. Sadly, Ledger passed away in 2008 at just 28 years old before he could see the full impact of his performance. Number 6. John Wayne. John Wayne wasn't simply an actor, He was an image. For decades, his tall frame, deep voice, cowboy hat, and unmistakable walk represented the classic American Western. Films like True Grit, The Searchers, and Stagecoach turned him into one of Hollywood's biggest stars. As Wayne aged, his appearance changed considerably, but that familiar voice and presence never disappeared. He passed away in 1979 at the age of 72. Number 5. Lauren Bacall. Lauren Bacall became famous for her sultry voice, distinctive look, and unforgettable screen presence opposite Humphrey Bogart. Her beauty was undeniable, but Bacall was never simply a glamorous supporting figure. She built a long career across film, television, and theater. In her later years, her face became more mature and expressive, while that famous gaze remained unmistakable. Bacall passed away in 2014 at 89. Number 4. Humphrey Bogart. Humphrey Bogart helped define what a Hollywood leading man could be. His trench coats, raspy voice, cigarette-filled scenes, and cool expression became part of cinema history. Casablanca, The Maltese Falcon, and To Have and Have Not cemented his legendary status. Unlike many stars on this list, Bogart never reached old age. He died in 1957 at just 57. Yet decades later, his face remains one of the most recognizable in Hollywood history. Number 3. Alan Rickman. Alan Rickman had one of those faces audiences never forgot. His deep voice, sharp features, and controlled delivery made him perfect for villains, dramatic characters, and complicated heroes. He became especially famous to a younger generation as Professor Severus Snape in the Harry Potter series. In his later years, Rickman's hair became silver and his face more mature, but his unmistakable voice remained the same. He passed away in 2016 at 69. Number 2. Elizabeth Taylor. Few Hollywood stars experienced such a dramatic journey through fame, beauty, aging, and public attention as Elizabeth Taylor. As a young actress, she was celebrated for her extraordinary beauty, dark hair, and famous violet eyes. Decades later, photographs showed a completely different woman, with silver hair and the natural changes that come with age. But Taylor remained glamorous and unmistakably herself. Her career stretched across generations, and her name became inseparable from Hollywood's golden age. She passed away in 2011 at 79. Number 1. Charlie Chaplin. There could only be one. Charlie Chaplin became one of the most recognizable entertainers the world had ever seen. The bowler hat, the tiny mustache, the cane, the oversized shoes, the walk. As the Little Tramp, Chaplin created a character that could make audiences laugh without saying a word. But photographs from his later years reveal a remarkably different man. The youthful face of silent cinema eventually became an older, distinguished figure with white hair and a completely different appearance. Yet behind that older face was the same performer who helped establish cinema as a global art form. Chaplin passed away in 1977 at the age of 88. And that brings us to the end of our journey through Hollywood history. These photographs show how much time can change a person, but they also remind us of what these stars left behind. Their movies are still watched, their performances are still remembered, and their names still mean something to generations who never had the chance to meet them. Hollywood moved on, but their legacy didn't. Every time someone watches an old movie, repeats a famous line, or discovers one of their performances for the first time, these stars live on. And perhaps that's the greatest thing an actor can leave behind, not just a photograph or a name, but a memory. So tell us, which Hollywood star surprised you the most? And which one do you remember watching when you were younger? Share your thoughts in the comments. If you enjoyed this journey through Hollywood history, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications for more classic Hollywood countdowns and nostalgic tributes. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.